All right, here we go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Thursday afternoon, a blockbuster edition of the NBA Report. Back again for season 2. CP the franchise, Alex Rotaros on the other side. Dame Dollars is going, not to Miami, but to Milwaukee, man, in a blockbuster trade. We got to talk about it, man. Lots to discuss today. We're going to break down the Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks trade, give you our reaction, and break down what's next. Lots to talk about today, man. So make sure you guys lock in. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. The number one show for the fans by the fans is back. The NBA Report, man. Salute, salute, salute. All right, man. Here we go. Al, how you feeling, man?
Good, man. If you want to, just had to swaddle my son before we got on this show today. You know, had to give him he's going through the cluster feeding phase.
There we go,
man. He's just eating a lot. He's growing. He's big. He's strong. Doing good, doing well with tummy time.
Yeah.
So just getting, acclimated week 3 for dad life. But how are you doing, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Very excited for this upcoming NBA season, and it's just like that. Where with this Dame trade, you just never know. And what do we learn from this trade? Why haven't we learned by now? There's always a sleeper team. There is always a sleeper team, ladies and gentlemen. You just never know in the NBA, and we got that. 2 years ago, Spider Mitchell to the Knicks, nope, to the Cavs. Bradley Beal to the Miami Heat, nope, to the Phoenix Suns. And now we have Dame going to Milwaukee, and it's not Miami. And the official trade, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski yesterday, Dame goes to Milwaukee as part of a 3-team trade with Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Toumani Camara, and a 2029 unprotected Milwaukee first and unprotected swap rights of 28 and 30 going to the Blazers. Phoenix Suns will land Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. So let's break this thing down, obviously, from a Milwaukee side. From my perspective, in getting Dame Lillard, this was a home run for the Milwaukee Bucks. And some people might be cautious about it, and I understand why, but it's a home run to me on many fronts. Number one, you keep your superstar player happy, right? Over the last couple of weeks, Giannis has been very vocal about his future with the Milwaukee Bucks and basically saying, hey, listen, we got to make moves. We've got to stay in a championship contender window. And with this trade going down today, you have to think that Giannis was saying all these things knowing that this was pretty close to being a done deal. And so I think what he said out there in terms of his future with Milwaukee was already said to this management and was already clear that we've got to improve from our failure last year. Now, on the offensive side, you get one of the best offensive players in the history of the game, not just in today, but of all time. I mean, Dame Lillard averaged 32 points per game last year. 11 three-point attempts on 37% shooting, a 3-level bucket, a 3-level assassin. It is Dame time in Milwaukee, and it's going to be incredible. I mean, you think about him and Giannis in a 2-man game. The 1-5 pick and roll is going to be ferocious. I mean, even Dame and Brook Lopez Giannis and Dame in 1-4 pick and roll. Even Dame and Brook Lopez 1-5 pick and roll. I mean, that is going to be filthy. You still have Chris Middleton on the wing, who you're going to have to contend with. So with Dame going there, I mean, how are you going to put 2 guys on the ball? How are you going to double? How are you going to take the ball out of his hands when you got the Greek Freak being able to barrel down into the paint or Middleton being able to strike from downtown? That offense is going to be ferocious, and I believe that they needed that because with Holiday, we know his defensive prowess. We know his capabilities as a leader and a floor general. They needed to improve offensively. His playoff numbers were woeful. 39% from the field, 30% from 3 in the playoffs. So you have him taking a step back. You don't know what you're going to get from Chris Middleton from a durability standpoint and from an offensive production standpoint. Have we seen his best days in Milwaukee from that standpoint? And also with Giannis, as he gets older, as he ages, there is durability concerns with him and also productivity. Once his athleticism wanes, how does he adjust his game? We'll have to see. So now you bring in Dame, a guy who can take over at any point of the game and really, really help this offense in the clutch. You don't got to worry about, the game being on the line with Giannis having to shoot free throws. You put it in Dame's hands, it's Dame time, and it's over with, man. So I think, bringing in a player with his gravity into this offense, it's going to be electric. It's absolutely going to be electric. The only thing is we'll have to see defensively if they can make up, because they not only lose Jrue Holiday, who's a standout defender. Grayson Allen's a good defender in his own right. And so now they lose two key cogs in their perimeter defense. How will they do? How will they fare at the point of attack? I think that's going to be the biggest question mark involving Dame. But offensively, it's a home run.
CP, I agree with you 100% on all the points you just noted. I think for me, though, I'm not even that worried about the Bucks defensively. I think the offense is going to obviously the offense is going to take a jump. We're talking about a top 3 level scorer in Damian Lillard. He can score inside, outside, mid range, you name it. He is filthy. Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the strongest forces offensively and defensively in the game. You talk about the pick and roll, as you mentioned, doesn't even matter. Even you got Brook Lopez. All I know is that the spacing is going to be incredible on that team. Okay, Jrue Holiday, good shooter. You get a great shooter now, right? You lose Grayson Allen, they still got enough shooting. They could do whatever they want to add around the edges. Chris Middleton, if he's healthy, you're talking about a solid shooting team. You just open up the lane even more for Giannis at this point, right? Because you have to guard Damian Lillard from 30 feet out, essentially. He's that dude. He's that dude.
Unlimited range.
Exactly. So for offensively, I think it's fine. And when you look at the numbers, right, when you look at how Milwaukee performed last year, they were 4th in defensive rating last season. And offensively, they were 15th. They were middle of the pack. Obviously, offensively, they're going to take a step up. I see them being in the top 10. I think they could even be a top 5 offense now with Damian Lillard. Defensively, maybe it flips the script. But the thing is that defensively, it's not throughout the regular season that we got to worry about defense, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially just warm-ups, practice to get ready for the postseason. Can they turn it on during the postseason? I think they can. I think we've seen it with other teams. I like Pat Connaughton as a defender. Brook Lopez was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year last year. You know what Giannis Antetokounmpo is? They will take a step back defensively because Jrue Holiday is that good at the point of attack. But I think offensively, they'll just be overpowering teams, man, at this point. It's just going to be so difficult. So I'm not really worried for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think now you're just looking at it from like the East standpoint. It's now just solidified that it's going through the Bucks. They're going to be the team that you have to get through in the playoffs. They can, they're going to have to take the regular season seriously just because you want to make sure that everyone's in a groove and and fluidity once the playoffs come. But this team with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, that's crazy, man. That's ferocious. Absolutely crazy. It just goes back to when Giannis during the All-Star game is like, and LeBron's like, I know who's already going to select. I already know who's going to select. Who's the first guy? Damian Lillard. You just know who it was. It's all coming to fruition for this guy now.
I mean, and shout out to our guy, Rob Perez, a.k.a. Worldwide Wob, on that one because he was able to dig this one up from Twitter. And let's get to this clip that you're talking about. This is the All-Star Game selection of the starters. And here's who Giannis picked first, and here's what happened. Here we go.
My first pick.
Yeah. What'd you say, LeBron?
I already know his first pick.
Yeah, so do I.
Already know.
My first pick gonna be Damian Lillard.
I thought he was going to go with Jrue. Dame, as you might know, won the 3-point last night.
Pick you on the playground.
I would never pick you to even be on broadcast.
The Blazers 31 a night, and he's the first pick. Look, that surprised me too. No, you're not gonna do him dirty here, are you? No, you're not.
See, Giannis has changed this weekend.
I think so too.
He always talk about loyalty, being loyal.
I know who my team
and all that
is.
stuff, right? So I knew for sure his first pick was going to be Jrue. So I don't know what's going on with Giannis. Okay, you messed my whole draft board up.
and who would know better than LeBron James?
I was about to say, you beat me right to the punch.
The devil knows its own. So LeBron knew from that time the super team collusion was possibly in formation, man. And again, you know, this whole time it's like it's Miami, it's Miami, it's Miami. And here we go. When you don't have leverage, there's always a possibility of a sleeper team, man. There's always a possibility, especially when you can create these different machinations of trades, 3-team, 4-team, maybe even 5-team trade, depending on what happens with Jrue Holiday. And here we go. The Milwaukee Bucks end up with the prized player in this offseason. It is Dame Dollars, man, going to Milwaukee. Let's look at it from the Blazers side, because there was a lot of pressure on Joe Cronin to go out there and get the deal done. A lot of people pushing him to Miami. You have no leverage. This is it. Get Dame there. He paid his dues. He's been a model citizen. Get him to where he wants. And Joe Cronin sat back. He was patient, and he waited for the deal that he felt like was going to be the best interest of the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think, you know, we'll get to the Miami thing in a minute, but I just think looking at this on the surface, from a Milwaukee standpoint, as far as a grade, it's still TBD, right? For the Bucks, I'm giving them an A+. For the Blazers, I'm going to give them an incomplete, because we have to see what happens with Jrue Holiday and what they're able to net for him. The report from Woj is that that he's on the move. So we'll have to see from there. But I think in getting the draft compensation from the Milwaukee Bucks, you get to 2029 unprotected. You get pick swaps in 28 and 30. I think that's a good timeline into the future where you can take a reasonable gamble on the Bucks potentially rebuilding at that time when those picks become potentially more valuable. And then from the Ayton standpoint, yes, a lot of people talked about Herro. But from Ayton, you're getting a former number 1 pick, 18 and 10, and someone who can fit your timeline. He's still 25. And I think despite how things ended in Phoenix, having him go for a change of scenery in Portland might help him. You know, a lot of people question, you can still question his motor. Does he want it still? We'll have to see. I think that'll be left to be seen what he does in Portland. Does he change? But for him, a change of scenery, and for the Trailblazers, I think somebody whose upside is worth a gamble on. So altogether, it's still incomplete, but it has potential to be a good return based on how the Holiday trade ends up.
Absolutely. Look, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, why'd you only get 1 pick? You didn't want more from Miami?" Look. Dame's contract ends next season, 2024-2025. Giannis Antetokounmpo has a player option for 2025-2026. So theoretically, him and Dame could both be done at the end of the 24-25 season. If you're the Blazers and you look at the draft that the compensation that you got based on what Milwaukee had, and we talked about this on Knicks Fan TV. Milwaukee didn't have that many draft picks to go with, right? You can't trade back-to-back picks. You give up 29. All right, so you get 28 and 30 as the pick swaps. Let's say Giannis isn't there. Let's say Dame isn't there. Let's say both of them go on their merry way to another team. I'm looking at it as like, all right, so you got the unprotected for 29. Bucks could be in disarray at that point if they lose everybody. And you never know, injuries could also play into this whole factor as well. These guys are getting older, right? Giannis is 28 at this point. We talk about 28. We're talking about getting close to his mid-30s. So if you're the Blazers, I like what you got in the trade compensation. Now, you talk about Jrue Holiday. They're not going to keep Jrue Holiday, right? They're going to flip him. They're going to see who can maybe get even a little bit more draft capital, because I'm going to get the Miami Heat in this situation. I know we're going to talk about them, but I'm going to get the Miami Heat saying, hey, you didn't get Dame. Here's a consolation prize. Let's get some draft picks over here as well. But to your point, Ayton, he gets a fresh start. You know, for the Suns, it made sense that you get a cheaper option at center. Yeah. But I like what the Blazers are doing, going young. With now you have a core. You know, you got Shadon Sharp. You know, you got Scoot. You got Ayton. Yep. I like what they got. You got Simons. I like that team right now. I like what they got going on right now from a youth perspective. And for Ayton, this kind of gives him this is his chance. All right, for Ayton. He wasn't the guy out in Phoenix that they wanted him to be. Now with the fresh start, you got to show that you can be the guy, because if he doesn't show on this team that he can be the guy, he can easily become that fourth, fifth guy option on this team as well.
Yeah.
All right. Because Simons, Scoot, Sharp, they all going to get touches. So, like, if he wants, this is his chance, because he could say, hey, I'm established. I was just in the finals not too long ago. Get me touches. Let me show you how I can dominate. But if he can't do it here, man, I don't see where else he's going to be able to get the chance to go do it again.
Yeah, this is his chance to reclaim his reputation, and it's crazy because just a couple of years ago he was instrumental in getting the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals, and then you know, look, Jokic will do that to you, man. Jokic will embarrass. He embarrassed everybody, including Bam, who had had an outstanding playoff run up until he ran up against a buzzsaw in the finals, and so look what Jokic did to Anthony Davis, a premier defender in this league. So. Look, I understand the Phoenix Suns' issues with Ayton. He obviously fell out of favor with Monty Williams. There was a lot of issues there. You could rightfully so. They questioned his heart. So, but this could be an opportunity for him to kind of reclaim his rep, fresh start, young team, no pressure, and just to kind of ease his way back into things. And we'll see if Chauncey can get the best out of him. But also, as you mentioned with Yusuf Nurkic, the Blazers, Joe Cronin, also able to get out from under that contract, so they were able to get some cap flexibility there that may be able to help them, down the road in the future. So I thought this was a decent trade for them, and it could be even better depending on what they get for Jrue Holiday. And Yusuf Nurkic's deal runs through the 25-26 season when he becomes a free agent in the summer of 2026. So they get out of 3 more years remaining on his deal. So I thought that was pretty solid job by Joe Cronin. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. The NBA Report live and direct, man. CP the Franchise, Alex Rotaros on the ones and twos. Salute to my guy Anthony Parasol in here. We got D-Block 1755, Jay from Puerto Rico, Abdul from San Diego, salute. Salute to Justin Archer, Jamaica Queens 22, George Jones in here, salute. Darlene Bryant, salute. Exploding Daisies, how you feeling? K Marco in here, salute, man. Salute to everybody in here rocking with us on this matinee edition of the show. Breaking down the Damian Lillard blockbuster surprising trade to the Milwaukee Bucks, man. The Bucks now the beasts of the East, no question about it. So we look from the Milwaukee standpoint, looked at it from the Blazers standpoint.
Hold on, CP, before we get to the Suns.
Yep.
Because Michael, I don't know if you saw what Michael Scotto reported today about Jerami Grant being available after January 15th. What do you think with that? Before we get into this, because we're talking about a whole change for the Portland Trailblazers, right? Do you see Jerami Grant being gone as soon as January 15th comes along and we're talking about a complete full-on rebuild? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going by the deadline or sooner. There's no need for him. You know what I mean? There's going to be a ton of other teams, contenders. Maybe there's a big injury where you got to make a move for Jerami Grant. I don't see any point in him sticking around with the Portland Trailblazers. And if I were him, I'd be asking for a trade as well. And because he can certainly help a contending team. Now, he's making a nice penny. You're going to have to pay up and want to commit to those years. But you just never know. So I would expect him to be available, be on the block, and somebody will look to add his services to the team. I don't see Jerami Grant sticking around with the Blazers. So let's see what happens there. Now, for the Phoenix Suns, they end up, let's go back to Suns part of things. They end up with, go back to the Woj tweet. The Suns get some depth here. They go out and they get Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. I like Allen. I like Little. I like Johnson. I like Keon Johnson's game a lot. I like Little and what Grayson Allen can bring from, gritty, dirty play. Yeah, he's a dirty player. He can shoot some threes. That'll give them some grit. But overall, when the Suns went out there and got Bradley Beal, they were on a quest for more depth. They're looking at the second apron. They have KD. They have Devin Booker. They were a very top-heavy team. The question was, would they keep Ayton, run Ayton on an experiment with Frank Vogel, the center whisperer, or would they ultimately trade him to get some more depth? I thought it could have went either way. Maybe they would have kept him, see how it goes, or if a trade like this becomes available where you could shore up your bench a little bit more, you pull the trigger. And they went with the latter. And so now they add a Grayson Allen, a Keon Johnson to a bench that has Eric Gordon. You have guys like a Utah Watanabe. You have Drew Eubanks, things of that nature. I thought from addressing the depth standpoint, they're good. They're in a good position right now. And if you have a situation where it's getting a little too much with between KD, Booker, and Beal, where it's just not flowing, you can kind of stagger the lineups a little bit and ensure that you're always going to have a star player on the court almost at all times, which is a great problem to have. So I think they've addressed the depth issue. Now the question is, given that it was at the expense of Ayton, did they panic too early? Should they have tried it out with him a little bit more, see what happens? But instead they went with Nurkic. I think this was a better play to go with the Nurkic. Even though on the surface, 1-to-1, it doesn't compare. Ayton's a way better player than Nurkic. I just think in a Nurkic, if he can stay healthy, which is a big question mark. He's missed a lot of time, broken leg, messed up wrist, finger.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that modifier because can he stay healthy?
He's had some bad injuries. That's really going to limit him. But I just think they need somebody like that to do a little bit of everything rather than the appeal of an Ayton with this team. Because I feel like with Ayton, you have four guys that need the ball. Somebody's got to sacrifice. Somebody has to sacrifice. And there's only one ball. So people are going to have to sacrifice their games. So how impactful would Ayton have been on this team given the addition of Bradley Beal with KD and with Devin Booker? We're just going to never know. But with Nurkic, I feel like he's somebody that can help them kind of get it out the mud a little bit. Do a little bit of everything. Do a little bit of the dirty work. Use his size. Get on the boards. Set screens. Pass out of the short roll. Just a little bit of everything to keep the offense flowing. Not going to stop Jokic. Nobody can. But I think he could be a better fit, and that's what they were looking for in getting Nurkic and getting depth out of this trade.
Absolutely. And look, the key thing that you said is depth, right? Because that was the whole conversation about the Suns. It's like, all right, you're very top heavy, but if any of those guys sit out or if any of those guys are injured, are you able to, maintain the ship and navigate these waters throughout the regular NBA season? And I'm not saying that Nasir Little, Yusuf Nurkic, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen are going to be guys that can replace the production of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, or Kevin Durant. But still, when you get a little bit more depth, there's a little bit more insurance in the sense that you can give guys more rest. You don't have to play guys like Devin Booker or Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant so many minutes throughout the regular season. You can give them breaks. And maybe, if Vogel is creative enough, you can have lineups where it's just Beal or Booker or KD out there while the other two are getting rest, or maybe one of the two is getting rest. And you can run these guys and just let the offense flow to one of the top three guys. And then you can really keep these guys fresh for the remainder of the regular season. So for the Suns, this is a great deal. Well, I like that they broke up Ayton's contract into really more digestible contracts, because you really had to bank on Ayton coming in and coming through. And I think that of itself was just a big question mark. So do you get Yusuf Nurkic? Obviously the risk is, as you noted, can he stay healthy? Because if he doesn't stay healthy, then it's Eubanks that we're talking about, right? That has to come in and really be that center.
To save the day. That's what NBA Twitter wants to happen.
Bol, man. Everyone's favorite Bol, the original Chet Holmgren.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think it's a good move for the Suns. I think it's a solid gamble for them at this point. You get depth, you break up the Ayton contract, you get rid of the question mark, you remove whatever feelings there were with the Suns organization, right? Because even before the transfer, right, Sarver didn't want to pay Ayton. There's still some bad blood because there's still some guys from that organization under Sarver that are there. So it's like, you just remove a guy from an entire situation, just go get a fresh start, just leave it as it is. So I like what the Suns did here.
Absolutely, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex on the ones and twos NBA report. Dame Lillard to the Bucks, trade reaction. And we're going to take a look at what's next, man. If you guys want to call into the show, give us your thoughts on the trade. Call us up, 657-383-1509. Or you can join the NBA Report Discord, 24/7 NBA chat. So to everybody in chat, we got Oroku Saki in the chat, man. That was the nickname for Shredder, Ninja Turtles, Al. If I gotta, just a little pop culture, pop culture tutorial for you, bro.
Relax.
I didn't know. I don't know if you're up to speed. You're Pokemon generation. I didn't know if you're up to speed on that.
Look, man. Okay, first of all, I also like the Street Sharks. All right, I was more of a Street Shark guy actually over the Ninja Turtles. I like the Ninja Turtles, but for some reason, I just like sharks. So, it's awesome. You know what it is, man.
Yeah,
you already know what it is.
Absolutely, man. So, you have this trade going down. You have Dame going to the Bucks. You have Jrue Holiday going to the Blazers. But according to reports, he will not be there for long, man. Let's hear from Woj on the potential of a Jrue Holiday trade and what's next. Here we go. Here's Woj, courtesy of ESPN's Get Up. Here we go.
Greeny, that this deal's ripple effects are still fully yet to be felt because Portland's next task is to find a team to trade Jrue Holiday, and there are no shortage of contenders in the league who would love to make a deal with the Blazers for Jrue Holiday. Among them, the Celtics, the 76ers in the East, I think the Clippers in the West, but any team who's trying to win and is trying to really keep up with this arms race now in the East with Milwaukee attracting Damian Lillard in this deal. They want in on Jrue Holiday, and so certainly for Portland, you can judge the total value of what they got in this deal for Damian Lillard by ultimately what they now next come out of once they move Jrue Holiday, and I think they're going to move pretty quickly on this one.
All right, so that was Woj on a potential Holiday trade, man. Now, he's right. And the interesting thing is that, there's going to be more teams after Jrue Holiday than there were after Dame Lillard. Because
price is much different.
The price is different. Price is much different. But there will be a lot of teams going after him, and teams who may believe that he's the last piece to their championship puzzle. And when you have one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and yes, okay, he's taking a step back. I mean, look, Jrue Holiday's been in the league 14 years, man. I said it on a live last night. Jrue Holiday played with AI. Let's not forget that. So,
it's crazy to think that he was
that's
part
right.
Of that
A 19-year-old Jrue Holiday was on the Philadelphia 76ers with AI and a young Andre Iguodala back in the day. So, he's been in the league for some time, but nevertheless still a premier defender in this league. And so there's going to be a lot of teams after him. Who do you think lands? What do you think he lands, man?
For some reason, there was a report of Indy out there today from Zach Lowe.
I'm not buying that.
There's Philly. I think Philly is I think Philly would be a solid option. Although I could see Philly, but I don't know I don't know why Port would want to even get involved with having to redirect Harden unless there's a clean 3-team deal.
What about the Clippers?
Sends Harden to Clippers. Yeah.
What about the Clippers? The 3-team deal. And in that, Portland again gets some more players, get some more contracts, maybe some picks. Harden gets to go where he wants to go to, and you get Jrue Holiday to Philly, stays in the contender window, goes back home.
You said Jrue goes to Philly, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Clippers get Jrue would also be a good option for them. I mean, I would take them over. I would take Jrue over Harden any day of the week.
Absolutely.
I'm the Clippers. I just try to do that deal straight up.
Yeah.
And not try to get the Sixers involved at all.
Nah.
But I think there's a lot of teams, man. There's a lot of teams that could use Jrue Holiday as a 1 or a 2 guard. Like even the conversation of him coming to the Knicks, right? Like I think that would be a solid backcourt. Although I wouldn't want to do that trade from a Knicks perspective right now because he's not a final piece. I'm not trying to trade guys like Quickly or anybody else to go get Jrue because I'd rather save quickly for a bigger deal. I'd rather save Grimes for a bigger deal if the
RJ.
Knicks don't see them as, or even RJ for a bigger deal, if you don't see any of those guys as like the long-term pieces to what the team's trying to do. But I think Philly's going to try to do something because you have to make sure Embiid's happy. So that way he's not just, ready to get up out of there. So Philly probably would be one. I think if you're Miami's got to try to do something, man. At this point, you got Jimmy Butler. You just made it to the finals. Was it like within 4 years?
Yeah,
the
bubble and last year.
Bubble.
So basically,
bubble
2 out of last
So
4.
like, if I'm Miami, man, like I just lost out on Dame. I need the consolation prize. And at least if you're gonna live on defense, you get a solid defensive guy in Jrue Holiday. Offensively, he's solid too, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's not sleep on Jrue Holiday as like a 3-level scorer, man.
Yeah.
He's a legit. He shoot like 55.6% effective field goal percentage. He's a solid shooter. All right. So don't sleep on his offense. I mean, I just remember that time, especially against when he played the Knicks, right? And he was just knocking down threes at the end of the game. But I think Miami, Philly, Clippers, they can all be involved. I don't see the Knicks being that serious. I think it's just throwing a name in there. But I think those are the top 3 teams that should go after Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, I'm going my top 3. I think Miami's got to jump in as a consolation prize, and we'll talk about them last. But as a consolation prize, they have to jump in. You got Dame Lillard coming into the East to one of your rivals. Who's checking him on the Miami Heat right now? Who's checking Dame? You got to go get him. And so you could have an interesting situation where the Portland Trailblazers still get Tyler Herro and send them Jrue Holiday. So you never know. Maybe they get a more scaled down version or something closer to what Miami was willing to give up for Dame. They give it up maybe for Jrue Holiday. So I think Miami's got to be number 1 on that list. And, bro, I think the Celtics absolutely should try to go get Jrue Holiday. Absolutely. I think they absolutely. But here's why. Because
I disagree with that. But I'll want to hear your thoughts.
Because a team like that with championship aspirations, number 1, you're putting a lot in Tatum and Brown and lead you there. But number 2, you're putting a lot of stock in Malcolm Brogdon and Kristaps Porzingis, 2 injury-prone players. If one or both of those guys go down, kiss the championship hopes goodbye. Like, I don't think they have enough. I think they replace Marcus Smart. You get a defensive presence out there. You get somebody to check Dame in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the playoffs when you see each other. I think the Celtics should be looking that way, man. I think they need him.
I hear you. I disagree just because I feel like there's sometimes too much change for a team isn't good, all right? And I think losing Marcus Smart was the worst decision that the Celtics could have done. I think they should have kept him through and through. That's the guy they should have. Now you're going to tell me, all right, you get rid of Marcus Smart, you're bringing Kristaps Porzingis. That's one big change because Kristaps, obviously a different player than Marcus Smart, different position. We can go through the whole reasons why. But you have to now think of like, how does he get incorporated to make sure that you have his touches still met to be that third guy on the Celtics team? Now you're going to tell me you're going to bring in Jrue Holiday, who, for me, all over. I give him more touches over KP any single day of the week. That's how he was out in Milwaukee. That's just who he is as a guy. I would rather have him be more offensively involved in the Boston Celtics than KP. Now you just extended KP. You're going to tell me KP's going to be okay being that 4th option. Now you're bringing Jrue Holiday. That's going to be tough for me, man. And then on top of that, I'm just thinking about all these guys in one season have to come together and figure out how it's going to work. That just sounds like a nightmare of a problem for the Celtics, and there's a lot of change. I get it. If they didn't get KP, and you told me from the get-go, from the jump, they kept it original, instead of going out after KP, they got Jrue Holiday, totally on board. I think all that change actually puts them back even more than actually putting them forward.
I feel like I need toughness still. I need defense, and I need a championship pedigree mentality. You're not getting that from Brogdon. You're not getting that from KP. Good players. Brogdon just won the Sixth Man of the Year. I can't trust him to be there at the end of the year. What happened in the playoffs last year? It was the forearm. Next year could be a calf, could be Achilles. You just never know. To me, I need a steady hand, a guy that's been there before, and that when the lights get bright, we don't choke again like they did. Now, look. Miami ran him out of the playoffs in the first round. I get that. He wasn't great. But change the scenery, new teammates, take a little bit of pressure off of Tatum and Brown, and most importantly, defend. I love Derek White. I like him as a scrapper. I like him more off of the bench, though, to be that spark plug that they need, because I also think Boston's depth is a little bit dicey and questionable. So that's why I think Holiday would be a nice fit for them. So I'm going Miami 1, Celtics 2. I think the Warriors need him. Because
I would take him over. I mean, I'd take him over Chris Paul.
For all the talk of a 3-guard lineup with CP3, the real 3-guard lineup, if you're going to go that way, is with Jrue Holiday in there. You know what I mean? You need a defensive presence in there between Steph and Clay. CP3 is not going to get you that. Jrue Holiday, to me, fits the Warriors better, way better than CP3. And if I'm Mike W. Jr., I'm going to find a way to get out of this. Maybe put a third team in there. Maybe you can get CP3 to LA, wherever he wants to go, Lakers or Clippers or something like that. And then you get Jrue Holiday, you're better fit at the point guard spot to San Fran. I think that would be a good move.
I like that Warriors move a lot more. I think that, to me, is more realistic and more doable than the Celtics, just for the amount of change, like I said, that would go through. I just got a question though for you.
Yeah.
Celtics. Who are you moving then? Are you moving Brogdon to go get Jrue?
If I had to, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If I get Jrue Holiday, I don't need him. I got Derek White.
I'm curious who wants Malcolm Brogdon at this point. I don't.
I'm just
curious. Like, so injury prone. I'm like,
that's true.
That's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, if I'm any other team, I'm like, I don't want Brogdon.
Yeah.
I want Derek White. That's the guy who I
think contractually, though, you might have to throw Horford in there, from what I'm hearing. If you look at the contracts, because Holiday's he's got to be in the 30s.
There's no way you're gonna sell me on a Brogdon Horford swap for Jrue. I'm like, I mean, come on, man. I can get a better deal than that. You better give me all the picks in the world if I'm doing that deal. He's 30
on average, right? So he's 30 on average, $30 million a year, Jrue Holiday contract wise. And if we look at Brogdon, he's at 22. Right? And then let's see, Horford. Horford is at. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Where's Horford's contract at? I'm just waiting on the internet. I got about 1 trillion tabs open right now, trying to stay on top of everything going on in the NBA, man. There's a lot going on. Training camp and stuff starting up. Media day starting up soon. And I can't get Al Horford's contract to pull up. Let's see.
Let me see. I'll try to pull it up.
Yep. Here we go. Roster. Okay, here we go. Horford is 10. So there you go.
That makes it. That fixes it. Yeah,
there you go.
It right there.
Now, you got to put Horford, who's one of your best three-point shooters on that team. It's a little tricky. I'm not here to talk about the trade parameters. I'm here to say, which team will he help the most? But, you give up Malcolm and Horford, that'd be kind of tough. That'd be kind of tough.
I could see from a theoretical perspective, I think it actually takes him even a bigger step back. Warriors, out of all the teams that you listed, the Warriors sounds like the best option because, and this is why. If I'm the Warriors, look, Steph, Clay, Draymond, there is a finite shelf life left on that trio. CP3, not the defensive guy, as you noted, between them. You talked about Jrue Holiday, a much better fit. Jrue Holiday already talked about potentially retiring. He wanted to retire as a Buck. If I'm Jrue Holiday, I go to a team that, if I go to the Warriors, I could say, all right, you know what? I'm on the Warriors. I could do another 2 more years. If I go to the Celtics and things go sideways, if I go to the Sixers and things go sideways, if I go to Miami and we're not competing, I'm starting to think like, all right, man, this is the end of the road for me.
Yeah.
At least with the Warriors, I could talk myself into like, I'm playing with some of the greatest of the greats right now, and there's a chance that we could do something for one season. We could just run the table and do it. I think the Warriors is the best option out of the teams that you listed.
One thing that you hit on, which is going to be interesting, is the contract. He has talked retirement. I do wonder, how does that change the trade market in terms of the price? Some people think you can get 2 picks. Some people think you can get 2 firsts and a young player. How much is a team willing to go to get him when you could be looking at a potential 1-year rental? I mean, he's got a 1+1, 1 year plus a player option. So you have to figure he's going to try to opt out of that to get a longer term, if he sticks around, to get a longer term deal, maybe less annually, but longer in terms of years. If he tries to get 3 or 4 to take him into 38, 39 years old, he's 33 right now. That's another factor that teams have to consider. How much am I going to pony up for a potential 1-year rental? I think that's going to be interesting, man. For a player of his caliber, for the amount of teams that could use him. I mean, we're talking about Clippers, Celtics, Sixers, Miami, Warriors, Lakers. 6 teams and maybe some sleepers. You just never know.
There's a lot of teams they could go after.
Yeah.
I mean, look, even the Pelicans. If I'm the Pelicans, I'd rather have Jrue Holiday over CJ McCollum.
Get Jrue back. Do you get Jrue back?
Man.
Wow.
That's a team. I mean, even if you I know they signed Fred VanVleet, but if I'm the Rockets, I'm like, yo, Jrue Holiday is a different story, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of teams that could say, because look, if you're going to talk to the Milwaukee Bucks initially, it's like no reason to even ask about Jrue Holiday. Now they get Dame. This whole thing has just changed the entire availability of Jrue Holiday. There's so many teams that can go after Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want an all defensive type guy on their team who's a solid scorer?
Yeah.
And good leader, championship winner? Like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of teams. I'm sure there's even more teams that would come out of the woodworks that would ask to see what the cost is. Even a young team, even a team like the Orlando Magic could use somebody. You want some stability at the point guard position and get guys organized and help someone like Paolo really develop. That's another team that can go out there as well and go make a move for Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, true indeed. I mean, with the Pacers or a team like the Magic, I know Zach Lowe's at the Pacers. The question I would have is, are they looking for do they have like a Houston Rockets type of goal right now where they want a solid veteran presence to help elevate their young core? This is what the Rockets are doing right now with Van Fleet. This is why they were interested in a Brook Lopez with all the money that they had, to really start to push their team forward so that it's not just young, inexperienced kids. You're never going to get anywhere that way. Unless, one is a generational talent like LeBron. But is that the Pacers' goal right now? You go get Holiday on a 1+1. You have your young players. You pair them up next to Halliburton. You have Obi. You have Mathurin. You have Jarvis Walker. A lot of young talent and a lot of young promising talent. You have Nebhard coming off the bench. You got a lot of guys, but Bruce Brown on that team. Is Carlisle, are the Pacers looking to start to kind of expedite their build? And do they think a Jrue Holiday can help get them there? I thought that was an interesting team to throw out there from a low standpoint.
Like, I get that whole concept from like a player standpoint for a team like the Pacers. I just don't see how that fit works, because Halliburton is a guy that, even what we see for Team USA, he's the guy that has the rock at his hand 99.9% of the time. And if you're looking at Halliburton's strengths, he's a facilitator. And I think for Jrue Holiday, he's also just a well-rounded point guard that needs to have the rock in his hand. And he can play well off ball, but I think where he serves is being that guy who's on ball, helping like get the team into their sets. So I'm not sure how the Pacers really would utilize his entire skill set. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but I think you would just, if I'm the Pacers, I'd really just stay young, not forced to make the Pacers, like that team, be more than what it is right now, which is, to me, a play-in team. And I think that's really good direction for them from last season, for all the guys that they drafted, the moves they made this offseason. I think that's where they should stay and grow from that perspective. I'm looking at other teams that don't really have an answer at the point guard position. And I see who is it? I think Anthony Parasol says the Magic have Fultz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fultz had a solid
They got a
solid
ton of
year.
guards, and now they even saying Cole Anthony's on the block. You know, they still got the kid from Gonzaga. They got Anthony Black
Suggs,
now.
yeah, they got Suggs. They got
a lot of
Suggs.
guards.
You
A
got
lot of
Cole
guards.
Anthony. I mean, Fultz is. But I'm like, if you're the Magic, like you can have a few of those guys and still bring in Jrue Holiday. I mean, Fultz to me is not. He's not an answer. He had a good season, but he still hasn't shown that consistently that he's a guy that I'm going to invest in and say he's part of this core moving forward. That to me at least. So for somebody like Jrue Holiday, I would say I can go in that direction because I want to make sure that Paolo is able to shine and really grow into the player that he can be.
Fair point.
Same thing
Fair point.
Same thing with Wagner. Like I want to make sure Wagner can grow into be the player that those two guys I know.
It's franchise.
Like, those are the guys I'm
cornerstones.
investing in. Franz and Paolo are the two guys I know. The guard position is just it's a carousel right now.
Yeah.
So that's why if I'm the Magic, I would actually I'd be serious about looking at Jrue Holiday to get those guys more NBA established. Like they're good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but more established where it's like, all right, we're moving these guys out of like the low ends of the hundreds to we're talking launching up to the 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at them.
Good points. Good points. And look, there's a lot of Knicks fans are talking about this one too, man. I feel like we're gonna go live on Knicks Fan TV tonight to really, really go in on this. A lot of Knicks fans are debating on the Jrue Holiday thing. We gotta save this conversation, man. So to hear our takes on the Knicks side of things, you gotta head over to Knicks Fan TV tonight, 9:00. John Smelk of WFAN covers the New York Football Giants for WFAN and Giants.com. Make sure you guys tap into that episode. So to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Damian Lillard to the Bucks. This is our NBA Report trade reaction. And yeah, man, just weighing in on a blockbuster, unexpected NBA trade. I think that's what makes the sport most fun because you have winners and you've got losers, man. And as Knicks fans, we gotta love that Pat the Rat and the Miami Heat did not get the man that they thought or expected or assumed they were going to get. So take that, Pat the Rat and the Miami media. Shout out to Tyler Herro, man, taking this whole thing in stride. On Twitter, you have the NBA on ESPN Twitter account saying that Tyler Herro remains with the Heat after having his name linked to trade reports surrounding Damian Lillard. He survives again like the final boss of all trade rumors in Damian Lillard. Bro's beating everything they've thrown out at him. And here's Herro retweeting the tweet saying, until next summer, with a quiet crying emoji and a deuce sign. So that's Herro taking it in stride. And here was an interesting comment from our guy, friend of the program, Amin Elhassan, in terms of, was this some sort of collusion? Was this some sort of, a swindle here by Joe Cronin and the Blazers in not sending Dame to his preferred location? Let's hear what Amin had to say. This is courtesy of the Dan Lebitard show with Stu Gatz. So let's hear what he had to say. Here we go.
Just evaluate the trade, the collusion amongst the league and its partners.
Don't ask leading questions.
Yeah, first of all, it's not collusion. It's a spite deal, man. Your boy Joe Cronin.
I told you. I was right.
Spite deal, man.
All right. What did Joe Carroyo do?
Joe Cronin. No, this is, you can't tell me this is the best deal available for them unless they have like a massive Jrue Holiday, 7,000 pick return happening on deck. But it's like, other than that, they really didn't help themselves that much better. They got a guy in DeAndre Ayton that Phoenix couldn't wait to get rid of. I thought everybody got better except the Blazers. I don't know what the Blazers are doing. You can tell me that Miami's package wasn't the best. You can't tell me that this package was better. Or you can't tell me that Miami couldn't have figured out a way to help them get this level of crap if that's what they were looking for.
All right, so that was our guy, Amin Elhassan, of the Dan Lebitard show. I'm kind of surprised that he took that angle, man. I'm kind of surprised that he took that angle for a couple of reasons. For one, it was reported now, Woj has reported, and Dan Lebitard himself has reported that didn't seem like Miami was really at the table with this thing. Didn't really seem like they were really legitimately in the runnings here. So it's hard to say whether they could have fielded could have offered a better package to Milwaukee. But I also have a hard time with him saying that that Milwaukee's deal wasn't better. When you look at the upside that an Ayton can give you, you have draft picks that have. It's hard to say what the prospects of those draft picks are going to be, but I would say a better gamble in terms of what it can net you than what a Miami can. And so, and then also, if Milwaukee didn't get better with the Ayton trade, would they have gotten better with Tyler Herro? Let's say their max trade: Tyler Herro, Jaquez, Jovic, and a couple of picks. Do you say that they absolutely got better there? I'm not so sure. If Cronin can get, say, 2 firsts for Jrue Holiday, or some firsts and some more cap flexibility, some more guys that they can trade, I can't see how this Bucks offer wasn't better than what he could have gotten out there.
CP, for Miami, the whole thing was dangling Tyler Herro, right? Tyler Herro's been involved in all these trade talks, as we discussed. I'm the Trailblazers. I got Scoot, I got Simons, I got Sharp. Where is Herro fitting into that whole thing? If I'm trading you Dame Lillard, right, another guard, why do I want another guard? Why would that even be? Why is that even enticing to me? Where, for me, I like all the other 3 guys I just named over Herro, right? So to me, it's not necessarily the better offer. You talk about the picks, talked about it earlier. I like the variability of what the Bucks are. The Heat, we know the Heat don't tank. We know the Heat are always going to stay competitive. So if you get their draft pick, it's either going to be in the middle. It's either going to be in the middle or at the end.
This is the same team who we give credit for taking a team to the finals with a bunch of nobodies with Jimmy and Bam. Like
for the Bucks at least, if they lose Giannis, I'm not so confident that their next team is going to be that competitive. They could tank. They could go into the direction saying, yo, we got to go find somebody. We got to do this. And I don't know if they can field together a team. Let's say Giannis leaves. Are you trusting a Chris Middleton-led team to go that far? Not me. I like Chris Middleton. I think he's a really good player, but I'm not saying he's going to do anything close to what Giannis or Dame can do that you could say, all right, we're at least going to be out of the lottery and 15 down to give these guys a draft pick. Those picks could easily be in the lottery in the future. Easily. Especially if Giannis leaves, Dame leaves, or whatever happens, right? So I don't see how what Portland got in return is a bad deal. They got draft compensation. They got a young, disgruntled player who needs a fresh start, who should want to go prove himself in a new situation. You replaced a position that has consistently been injured since Dame and CJ were there in Nurkic. You now, even though Ayton has his injury history as well, but at least Ayton, to me, is like, I will buy the upside in Ayton with Nurkic. I just needed to move on at some point. And it's like, how do I move off of Nurkic? Because he has a few more years left on his deal as well. I like what the Portland Trailblazers got in the end. I think it's a solid move. And you know, Mark Spears on Twitter shared this through Anscape. Mm-hmm. He said, according to Mark Spears' tweet, sources to Anscape, with Miami talks going nowhere, agent Aaron Goodwin privately told the Bucks and Nets 10 days ago that Dame would be interested in a deal there. The Raptors were a real contender to land the ex-Blazer star, but ultimately Bucks got it done per Woj report. So there you also go.
And to say, and not to cut you off there, but Mark Spears is tapped in with Dame. So if he's reporting that, he probably got it from Dame or Aaron Goodwin. You know what I'm saying? So that's very interesting. Very interesting. Go ahead.
So for that, I don't think it was spite. And look, if I'm the Blazers, I still like the deal. At the end of the day, Miami didn't have enough to offer. That was the whole thing. It's like, you know, that was the whole thing with the Knicks and Donovan last year, right? It's like, oh, well, you know, they got the leverage. That's where he wants to go. He's going to make sure he goes there and all this. Ultimately, as you said at the beginning of the show, CP, there's always a sleeper team.
It's always a team.
However, let's talk about Pat Riley for a second and the Miami Heat. Okay, because we got to kick this team while it's down. The Knicks fan to me is now going to come out for
kick their back in. Absolutely.
All right. Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard. All of them had Miami on their short list. And he got none of them. But all we've heard throughout the years is that Pat Riley gets his guy. Miami always gets who they want. but 4 stars, and they weren't able to land any of them. I don't know, man. If you're asking me, ain't looking too good for Pat Riley. This is not, and to me, this is kind of, I'd say you got to look at like it's not only unsuccessful, but this is, if you're talking about a name that's supposed to gravitate towards stars and you know, he has the cachet of like, look what I did with the Lakers, look how I turned the Knicks around, look at the Heat, look at the rings I got with the Heat. All right, I don't know, man. This is if I'm the Heat, I'm a little concerned at how Pat Riley is doing business nowadays, especially since you don't have that much draft capital. Jimmy Butler's getting older.
Yep, Jimmy's getting Yep.
And now you're going to tell me Bam and Tyler Herro is going to be the ticket after Jimmy Butler?
It's tough, man. Again, because like you don't know what their final counter was, how much of a presence they had at the table. What Mark Spears is reporting is that they went nowhere. Woj is reporting that they weren't at the table. Dan Le Batard says they weren't in the conversation. So can we really say that Pat is to blame? Was Riley expected to put everything that they had to go get Dame? Is that, you know, zero-sum game? Is that what the Heat fans were looking for? The Heat media were looking for here? To go all in on the 33-year-old Dame? I don't know. Like, I got to give Pat some, you know, I got to give him some credit for sticking to his guns. Look, this is a guy, he's won it before. He's won 3 rings with the organization. There's a lot of NBA teams.
We're talking about now, CP. You just went to the NBA Finals. You were
right.
You win against LeBron. You lost. Last year. You lost to the Nuggets. You see that you need talent. You just this offseason you lost Gabe Vincent and you lost Matt Strus. Yeah. 2 key cogs to your team that you need to return in order to say, hey, we have continuity. We have some insurance that we got the same team that can go back again and perform. You lost 2 guys. You didn't get Dame.
The thing
How is it not a failure?
Because the thing is that we don't know if what Portland wanted. We don't know what Portland wanted from Miami, right? There was also a rumor that Portland wanted either Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo. Suppose they put that tax on him. What's Pat Riley supposed to do? You can't trade either one of those guys for Dame, right? And then we also don't know, like, do we know if he went all in and Portland said, nah, we don't want this? It's hard. This is what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to, of course, as Knicks fans, we want to kick that back in. But it's hard from a neutral standpoint to say, well, Miami really flopped here without knowing what they had to offer.
All right, so let me remove the Knicks and let me be objective in this way. We just saw the Milwaukee Bucks don't have a lot of draft picks. Jrue Holiday, Grayson Allen, right?
Yep.
They got a 3rd team involved to get this deal done. They figured it out. If you're the Miami Heat and you see that they got a 3 team, I'm calling around the clock trying to get a 3rd, 4th team. I'm trying to figure out, how do I get Dame in a Heat jersey because my team needs it. We weren't even close. Like, we made some games tight, but we weren't close talent-wise to keep up with the Denver Nuggets. And if we got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo as our 2 guys that we have to rely on with Tyler Herro, who missed time in the playoffs, right? Who else are we going to get in here to say we're serious about competing? All right, what you're gonna rely on a Lowry now? Now you got Kyle Lowry playing the position.
Good luck.
You lost your starting point guard to Gabe Vincent. Who's the next guy? Is Lowry going back to the starting position?
Maybe, right? Again, we only know sort of one side of the story, right? We know what the Bucks offered and they got the deal done. We don't necessarily know what Miami was doing here, what they had to offer, or was Milwaukee even serious about dealing with them. Maybe Amin was right. Maybe they were spiteful, right? Maybe both things can be true, that they were spiteful and they got a great deal in what Milwaukee was offering. Maybe both things are true. But could Pat have looked at it and said, let's say for argument's sake, they were potentially looking at putting all the pieces on the table. Herro, Jovic, Jaquez, all the picks they could give. Maybe Pat was looking at it and saying, hey, look, maybe there's a plan B here. We just went to the finals with a gang of nobodies. Maybe we run it back with Herro and a gang of nobodies with Jimmy and Bam. Maybe we can get back there. Right? We just saw, everybody puts their stock in Spoelstra, right? The best coach in the history of the coaches, right? He just had Strus. He had Vincent. Maybe they look at it and say, you know what? This isn't a zero-sum game. We believe in Spoelstra's ability to develop Jovic, and Jaquez, and another year with Herro, with Bam and those guys. Maybe they say it's not a zero-sum game as everybody was making it out to be.
I don't know, man. I can't get behind that. If you're the Miami Heat and you are just that close, like you're telling me that here's a start. Let me ask you the start. Where do you think the starting lineup goes? Tyler Herro, Josh
absolutely
Richardson,
nowhere.
Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo. Where's that starting five going?
Look, I said it last year. I didn't think they were going anywhere, and they made it all the way to the finals. So I want to say that again this year, but you just never know. You just never know, man. Jovic had a good FIBA. He's got some promise. You got Jaquez. He's ready to go, plug and play ready from UCLA, veteran experience from a collegiate standpoint. I like to say I don't like their chances if they don't get Jrue Holiday, but they showed us just last year that they can't be counted out.
I mean, last year was like they had a run of all epic proportions. I mean, they shot the ball. They shot the cover off the ball, man. They were shooting over 45 to 50% in the playoffs.
Those guys are gone. Well, two of them. Two of the big guys were gone.
Lose Strus.
Yeah.
Lose Gabe Vincent. And Gabe Vincent, let's not sleep on Gabe Vincent. Solid defensive player at the point guard position, okay?
Yeah.
You're taking a step back with Tyler Herro if he's in your starting five. This is the starting lineup according to ESPN right now. Like I said, with Herro, Richardson, Butler, Love, Adebayo. Like, Love, not going to get a lot of defense. You know, Butler can give you defense. You know, Bam can give you defense. Richardson, 3-and-D guy. But Herro and Love? Kyle Lowry? Another year older Kyle Lowry?
Yeah.
You got Caleb Martin still. I like Martin, but it's like, look, man, even the second unit. I mean, I know you're talking about Jovic, but it's like Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Hayward Highsmith, Thomas Bryant. This is rough, man. If you're the Miami Heat, you need another star in there, man.
I don't know. I find it hard to believe,
especially if you're not getting the offense. If Bam was giving me solid offense, right? And I thought he had a solid performance.
They need more. They do need more.
Yeah, but you need more offense than what Bam can give you.
Yeah,
like you need a legitimate 3-level scorer, like Dame. Like,
yeah,
Herro is a solid scorer, but like he's not Dame.
Unreal. It's unbelievable, man. Hey, they still got Caleb Martin, man. He was a standout. You don't believe in him?
I like Caleb Martin. I'm just not like Caleb Martin is not the guy who I'm like, oh yeah, we got Caleb Martin, baby. Woo, he's the Tatum stopper. He's the Jaylen Brown stopper. That's all we needed.
I don't know, man.
Where was he against Jamal Murray?
Well, getting flamed like everybody else.
Where was he against Bruce Brown?
Getting flamed, man. But let's see, man. Again, we always like to count these guys out, and they creep up through the back door and get something done. You can't. I will continue to say this. You can't count out the rat. You can't. And remember, go back to LeBron sweepstakes. Nobody was giving the Heat a chance like that. It was the Bulls. It was the Knicks. It was the Cavs. The Heat were like fourth, maybe third or fourth on that list of possibilities. Nobody saw it coming. And what did he do? He gutted the entire team, brought the Heatles together, and ultimately won 2 championships.
And what has he done since then?
But, bro, I mean, that's enough. Look how hard it is to win a championship in the NBA. Dame doesn't have one. Dame don't have a ring. Beal don't got rings. Spider don't got rings. Luka doesn't have rings.
Went to the finals the last 2 out of the 4 years, though.
Luka don't got rings. It's not
You're
easy.
so close. Who says I don't want more? I'm good for it.
What I'm saying is he's already won 3, right? 1 is already hard to get. He's already won 3 with that team. Forget Lakers and Knicks. He's already won 3 with that team and taken them to 2 more. So that's 5. Think about that. He's going to 5 chips with the Miami Heat. I mean, let's pull it back a little bit before we talk about this guy being the worst executive of all time. He's going to 5.
I didn't say he was the worst. I didn't say he was the worst executive.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that they're pouring dirt on the grave here. And look, I'd love to hate Pat Riley as much as anybody else, right?
4 stars.
You pull it back.
4 stars that had Miami on their short list. He didn't get any of them.
I get it. But there are other teams on the other side of the table. It takes 2 to tango. I would have to know. I need a report from Woj, from Shams, from Spears, from Ira Winderman. I want to know this is what Miami's offer was. This is where they stood pat. And this is what happened. I need to know that. I don't have enough information. You know how you take those tests back in school, elementary school? And it was like, is it A, B, or not enough to determine? To me, it's not enough to determine. It's not enough to determine, man.
Fine. I'm done with Pat Riley. Let's go on to the next guy. Masai Ujiri. Where were you, man?
Listen.
What are you doing with the Raptors?
Matter of fact, I gotta take this call. Great show. Salute to everybody in the chat. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format. We'll see you on Knicks Fan TV tonight at 9 o'clock. I gotta take this call. Good show.